Very good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar on GST invoicing. This is another webinar as part of the series of webinars we have been conducting since the launch of e-invoicing system in India. So here, since the taxpayers with turnover between 10 crore to 20 crore are supposed to register their invoices from 1st October 2022, we are conducting another round of webinars, and this is one of the webinars that is being conducted for the benefit of the taxpayers who are getting eligible for registration of the invoices on e-invoice portal. So today we have Mr. P.V. Bhatt, Deputy Director General and SIO NIC Karnataka, who is the architect of e-invoice and e-bill system. He is with us, who will be giving us the basics of e-invoicing and the highlights. And then we have our senior colleague, Mrs. Sunita Bennur. She will be taking through all the tools which are available for registering the invoices on this portal. And myself, Suresh Mehti, Technical Director, will be taking frequently asked questions. So in these three parts, most of your questions will be covered. So in case you have any questions which are not covered in these three parts, can be put in the chat box, which we will be addressing after the frequently asked questions. Now I request Mr. PV Bhatt to start with the basics and highlights of the invoice.
Thank you, Suresh. Good afternoon to all the participants. I welcome all the taxpayer for this webinar. This is, as already told, we are conducting the series of webinar on the e-invoicing system. From October 1st, we are going to have the e-invoicing for the taxpayer about 10 crore to 20 crores. So already I am happy to inform that a lot of taxpayer from 10 to 20 crores are already started onboarded and started generating a e-invoice. That shows the keen interest of the taxpayer who are coming forward to do the e-invoicing and taking further. And as you know, the e-invoicing is a game changer in the GST system. It is going to bring a lot of change in the way in which the GST system is going to work in the coming years, maybe next year onwards, so that it will help you to automatically prepare the returns, R3B, R1, all kind of things, so that work will be simplified. Further litigation or mismatch, everything will be overcoming in this process. And as you know, from October 1st, we are running this portal where it is successfully running. We started with a 5 crore e-invoice generation on this portal from the first day of October, first month of the October 2020. Last month, it has reached the 13.25 crores. So gradually it is increasing and picking up. So October onwards, further it will increase. So a lot of taxpayers are going to again start using it and building up this. This is reflecting already R1 of the taxpayer, so that your R1 has been simplified in the preparation of that. And also e-bill preparation has been simplified using this system. And people are using very effectively. I will not go into the again explaining all these things, because you know the government is already clear that invoicing going to be brought, and already 5 crore will come maybe January onwards. So all the taxpayer will be covered in the coming months. So we are going to cover in this session today, as my colleague has told, couple of things. Where one is about the basic of the e-invoicing, how the e-invoicing you have to do, what is e-invoicing, what is the role, notification says, what are the areas where e-invoicing has to be prepared, kind of a thing. And also, as some of the taxpayer may not have the ERP system or the SAP system or whatever their accounting system, in that case, how they can use the portal to generate the e-invoice. We have a very simple application, Japan tool is there, which work on the mobile also and works on the web application also, using which you can also start generating your e-invoice from your mobile or on the website without going into the having the ERP system. If you have a ERP system, it is always advisable to interface with the ERP system, so that double entry work can be avoided. ERP system will directly send the data to e-invoice system, and e-invoice will be generating the unique reference number and giving back to you. And if you are not having, you can use this system. If you are having only one or two, that my colleague Sunita Bennur will explain in detail about that tool, how it can be used. It is similarly like what we are used in the e-waybill system. So that is there. Subsequently, as we know that in last 2 years, we are regularly conducting a webinar and we are getting a lot of questions from the taxpayer. So those taxpayer questions we have compiled, FAQ, frequently asked question we have made, that will be covered by my colleague, Mr. Suresh Meti, in detail about all the likely FAQ which you may are having, which will be addressed to you. In addition to that, also I request all of you to raise your queries in the chat, so that we'll read your query, your question, and answer will be provided there. So there is a very simple, you have to write the very clearly your query there, so that my team will be able to go through that and clarify all your queries, so that you will be well equipped to take care further on the e-invoicing system. This is the first webinar. Maybe in another 8-10 days, again, we are going to conduct a couple of webinars. Those who are not joined, you can tell your friends or the taxpayer who are supposed to generate, they can join, which will intimate. We are intimating through email also. And also, I would like to thank our Dr. Murali Krishna, Additional Commissioner, and FKCCI Chairman Mr. Manoharan, who have propagated this webinar to the large level of the taxpayer. Because of that, I am happy to see that more than 1,000 taxpayers have connected in a webinar, and almost around 1,000 people are connected to the YouTube. So they want to understand the process. So I will not go into the further detail. I'll request my colleague Sunita Bennu to start the things. Finally, we'll take all your questions. You can write that in a chat box, so that we'll go through that and answer all your queries. Thank you. Over to Sunita.
Just a small announcement. Already, participants are putting the questions for which answers are being covered in our sessions. So please wait for some time before you put the questions, because like they will be automatically covered. In case they are not covered, then you can raise your questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all the participants. So as you know, as per the latest notification by government, taxpayers above 10 crore, from 10 crore to 20 crores are now supposed to generate the invoices from the 1st of October. So in this background, this session is being conducted so that you understand about the e-invoice system. So just before I start, I'll just give a brief introduction about our organization. So National Informatics Center is a government organization under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It's a Government of India organization. Its main focus is on the citizen-centric services. It has been providing the state-of-art technology solutions to the e-governance projects of state and central governments. NIC has a NICNet, a wide area network covering the pan-India. Our main projects have been on the customs, VAT, PT, sales tax, etc. E-Waybill project under GST is a project under the by NIC, and now we are into the e-invoicing system. So with this background, I start with the e-Waybill system. Just a few glimpses of what e-Waybill, how many e-Waybills have been generated, etc. So as you know, e-Waybill started way back 4 years back, that is in 2018. That's April 2018, and since then e-Waybills have been generating, and it is a 24/7 uninterrupted service. As of now, you can see that there are 296 crores e-Waybills generated, thanks to all the taxpayers and transporters who have supported us in this in the success of the system. You can see here there are for 42 lakh suppliers who are registered and generating e-Waybills. Around 69,000 of transporters are generating e-Waybills. 256 lakhs e-vehicles have been recorded, and there is around 990 lakh of vehicular movement data that is being captured in the e-Waybill system. So what are the impacts? E-Waybill system, as you know, has facilitated for a single e-Waybill throughout the country. That is one nation, one tax, one market, and one e-Waybill. It has assisted in the faster movement of goods because there is no checkpost. All checkposts have been abolished, and there is also a random checking of only the e-Waybills. And this has facilitated to the ease of doing business, So the taxpayers need not go to the offices or have a e-way bill separate for every state. Instead, they can generate one e-way bill and move across all the states of the country. So this is the statistics of the e-way bills that have been generated yearly. Now we come to the e-invoice system. As you know, e-invoice system began in October 2020, and as of now 215 crores of e-invoices have been generated, and this is again a 24/7 service, and around more than 3.15 lakh suppliers are generating the invoices, and 91 lakh recipients are there in this system who will be benefiting from this particular e-invoice system. And this is the statistics of the e-Advoice system. That is from October to March in 2020-21, around 40 crores. And in 21-22, 109 crores of invoices have been generated. And in this year, we have started with 64 crores of e-invoices. So around as you know, on 16th of August, we have enabled taxpayers about 10 crores in the e-invoice system. So before the announcement before 1st of October, in which they are scheduled to just start generating the invoices, before that itself, so many people have started generating. Around 2,000 taxpayers have started generating the invoices. And as of now, we have 34,154 invoices already generated by these taxpayers. So now let us look into the impacts of the e-invoices system, how this has benefited. Firstly, it has given a standard invoice format. So previously, all the businesses had different invoices. They could not exchange these invoices. But now with the standard invoice kind of a format, all of them are able to exchange their invoices without any problems. That is again interoperability of invoices. You can send your invoices and you can import this invoice into your system. There is no change in the format. Since all are generating with the same format, you can easily transfer this invoices as a purchaser or a supplier into your system. Then the other thing is the digitally signed. So these invoices are digitally signed. So now you are sure that these particular invoices have been generated by the taxpayer, and also the recipient can verify this signed invoice in the e-invoice portal. And one more thing is that auto population of purchase register. So once you have all the invoices, you can even populate or create your own purchase register into your system. Then we have the faster credit of ITC. So since all these invoices are verified and are being updated by the portal, the ITC credit will be faster. And also auto population of GST returns. You must be seeing that now as the invoices are being generated by the taxpayer, these are being sent to the GST common portal, and the GST returns such as R1, R2, R3B are automatically populated by the system. So there is no need of sending the details twice. So the one information and it will be reflected in all the places. Then we have the seamless integration with e-way bill system. So as you know, the e-way bills, the part A of the e-way bill is nothing but the e-invoice. So now once the e-invoice is generated, you can also put your part B details and immediately generate the e-way bill along with it. So there is a smooth integration or seamless integration with the e-way bill system. All these things has helped in the ease of doing business for the taxpayers. So now let us look into what is the e-invoice system. So as you know, there is a difference of understanding by various people about the e-invoice system. So actually it is a registration of invoices on the Invoice Registration portal. That means whatever invoices you have prepared in your premises, be it online or offline, all these invoices, there will be no change in the generation of invoices in your system, whether it is ERP or just even in your manual system. You not have to change any process. Only thing is these information about the invoices need to be sent to the Invoice Registration portal and they need to be registered. So I once again say that it is a registration of invoices. So your invoice will contain all the details like invoice number, invoice date, or who is the seller, purchaser, and what are the items. Everything will be there in your invoice. The same information has to be uploaded into the invoice portal. The invoice portal will register these details and give back a reference number. It will give one unique reference number known as the invoice reference number. So how this process happens? So first of all, you have to submit the invoice details to IRP. That is, there are different modes of sending this invoice details to the invoice registration portal. So that is either through the portal or you can give the through the APIs. Then a certain set of validations are done on this invoices. The invoice details are verified by the invoice registration portal, and once it is successful, the invoice is registered and a unique reference number is generated. So after this number is generated, the invoice portal will return all these things back to the taxpayer. That is, first is a unique reference number. We usually call it as a IRN. This is a 64 character number. Then we also give an acknowledgement number. So this is a just a numeric number, which is again 15 digits. So this is a number which you can easily communicate with your taxpayer. That's why we have given this acknowledgement number. Then we also give the digitally signed invoice and also the digitally signed QR code. So these are the 4 things that are returned by the invoice registration portal. So as of now, NIC is the first and the only IRP as of now. Now let us see the eligibility of for e-invoicing. So as you know, from 1st October, it is mandatory for taxpayers with turnover more than 10 crores to register the invoices and get IRN. So all the taxpayers above 10 crores are eligible for e-invoicing. Now, how does this eligibility is considered? So here the total turnover of the taxpayers for that particular PAN is considered. That is the total turnover of the taxpayer is considered, and turnover exceeding the limit in any of the previous financial years after GST is implemented is considered. That is, in any of the previous financial years, if you were above 10 crores, your PAN or your GSTN will be considered for e-invoicing. Then turnover for the PAN is considered. That is for all the GSTNs on same PAN. So suppose you have 8 GSTNs on one particular PAN, and if the turnover of all the GSTNs put together exceeds 10 crores, then it is eligible for e-invoicing. So many of the taxpayers, they get confused. They say that my GSTN is not eligible. We have not crossed 10 crore. So please understand that if it is not on your GSTN, it is based on your PAN. So if your PAN, that is all the GSTNs of your PAN have crossed 10 crore, then you will be eligible for e-invoicing. So it is not voluntary. So those who are not eligible as per notification should not register invoices on IRP. So there may be some exceptions to the taxpayers, like who are exempted from e-invoicing. So such people can be left out. Next, we say that here implementation of this e-invoicing has been done in phased manner for taxpayers. That is, as you know, we started with a turnover more than 500 crore from 1st of October. Then on 1st January, it was given for 100 crores. Then 50 crores for 1st April 2021, and 20 crores we recently gave from 1st April 2022, and now 10 crores from 1st October 2022. So we have been going in the phased manner. Now, to whom it is applicable? For taxpayers who are eligible to register invoices as per the notifications of the government issued from time to time. So you can go to these notifications and understand and see whether you are eligible and start invoicing. For B2B, B2G and export transactions. So all your transactions with the category from B2B or B2G and export, all such transactions need to be reported on the invoice registration portal. B2C is not allowed. Just know that only these categorized transactions need to be reported. Then what kind of documents you need to update? All the documents such as invoices, credit notes and debit notes. Only these 3 types of documents need to be registered on the e-invoice portal. As I said that there are some exceptions for e-invoicing. So e-invoice registration is not applicable for all these kind of organizations like banking or insurance company then passenger transportation agency, then goods transport agency, the government departments, local authorities, then multiplex cinema, SEZ units, ISD units, composition taxpayers, and as I again said that B2C transactions are not, they do not require any registration on the portal. They are not to be done. So now the first thing is, how do I check my eligibility, whether I am eligible for e-invoicing or not. So this is the first thing that comes to the taxpayer's mind. So for that, he has to go to the e-invoice portal, that is https e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. You go to the search option and check the e-invoice status. So on entering of this, your GSTN, the system will say that whether you are eligible or not. So if you have crossed 10 crores, then you will get a message saying that you are eligible, else you will not be eligible. So there may be some discrepancies when this eligibility is shown. So that discrepancy is your GST is actually eligible, but portal shows as ineligible. So as you know that we are getting a list of all these GSTians who are eligible from the GST common portal. So there may be some GSTians which have been not marked as eligible. So in that case, but if you know that you have crossed 10 crore, then in that case, you can go and register yourself for e-invoicing. So for that, you go to the portal, go out to the registration tab, and there is an option called e-invoice enablement. So when you go to this, then what happens is it will ask you for which year you have crossed 10 crores. So you provide the financial year there and say what is your turnover. And on entering of that, all the GSTNs of that particular PAN, that is of that particular GSTN, the other GSTNs of the same PAN will be shown. And barring those types like SEZ, then TDS, etc., though barring those people, all other GSTNs will be enabled for e-invoicing. So that is one way. Then the other exception is or discrepancy is your GSTN is actually ineligible, but portal shows as eligible. So suppose if you have not crossed 10 crores and you feel that you are still less than 10 crores and you shouldn't be eligible for e-invoicing, then you can reach out to the self-help portal of the GST common portal and enter your GSTN and say that I'm actually not eligible, but I have been marked as eligible. So then this will be taken up separately by the help desk. So these are the few points that you should note when you are generating the IRN or the unique reference number. So registration of invoice is same as generation of IRN or e-invoice. So as I said, registration is nothing but updating all your details of the invoice to the e-invoice portal. So on doing so, you will be generating the IRN or an e-invoice will be created. Only one IRN for one document. So whenever you submit the details, you will have only one time you will have to submit the details for one document number. That is for the document number, document type, and for the financial year, you can have only one IRN generated. That means if you try to submit the same information twice, the system will not accept. It will say it is a duplicate. So only one IRN for one document. E-invoice once generated cannot be amended on IRP portal. So this is another thing that most of the taxpayers ask that whether after submitting my e-invoice, can I amend or change the e-invoice details. So here we say that e-invoice cannot be amended on the IRP portal. So for that you may have to go to the GST common portal and make the changes. In case of mistakes in IRN, it has to be cancelled and new invoice with new number has to be generated and registered. So what happens is in the invoice, when you prepare an invoice with all the details and you submit to the invoice portal, then what happens? All the details are registered. So now then you come to know that your invoice was done, you have done some mistake in the invoice, and do you now want to submit the same invoice with the new details or the corrected details. So here you have to keep in mind that you cannot do like that. Once an invoice is once a invoice has got wrong details or it has been registered with wrong details, then you have to cancel that invoice. That is, that the invoice is no more valid in your system also. So that means what? You have to generate a new invoice in your system, enter the correct details, and again update it on the portal. So now what happens is, to the already submitted details, so that is those details which you have submitted or wrong with wrong details, that invoice IRN needs to be cancelled. So that you can cancel on the invoice registration portal, provided it is within 24 hours. Now in the invoice registration portal, only suppliers and e-commerce operators can generate the IRNs. So as you know, the e-invoice system is basically only for the suppliers. That is, all the taxpayers who are going to do supplies, they are going to generate or register their invoice on the portal. So along with them, we also have enabled the e-commerce operators. So there are the e-commerce operators like some companies who with the TCS background, and they can also generate the IRNs on behalf of the suppliers. But whenever you do that, the supplier should be eligible for e-invoicing. Only such suppliers can be, for only such suppliers, the TCS operators can generate the invoices. So there are some time limits in the system, like say for example for the cancellation. The cancellation of the e-invoice that you have submitted to the portal can be done only within 24 hours of generation. So you note that these are the other three main points. That is, once cancelled, same document number cannot be used for registering again. So let's say you have submitted one invoice and you later come to know that it is wrong. So what you do is you cancel in the invoice registration portal. Then you try to upload the same invoice with corrected details onto the portal. So here the portal will not accept this. As I already told you, since you have already updated once this into the portal, the invoice with the same details or with the same document number will not be accepted by the invoice registration portal. So you'll have to cancel that, generate a new invoice at your end, and upload it onto the invoice registration portal. As I said that in the e-invoicing system, along with the e-invoice, you can even send the e-way bill. That is the part B details of the e-way bill. So as soon as the e-invoice is generated, the part B details will facilitate to generate the e-way bill also. So after generating the e-way bill, then you realize that there is a mistake in your invoice. So then you will try to again change it. So in the sense, you will try to cancel now the e-invoice which you have updated. So now the system will not accept again because you have already generated e-way bill. So what you have to do is first cancel the e-way bill, come back to the e-invoice portal and then cancel the e-invoice. So this is a two-step process. Furthermore, if e-way bill has been generated and also it has been verified by the officer. So in that case, you already know in the e-way bill system, once the e-way bill is verified by the officer, then it cannot be cancelled. So if e-way bill is cannot be cancelled, then IRN also cannot be cancelled. So these are the three main points which you have to remember when cancelling the IRNs. The other thing is the IRN details or the e-invoice details that you register in the portal has a window time. That is, we have given you can download this particular invoices only within 2 days. That is, if I have generated today, then today, tomorrow and day after, there are 3 days available for me to download this. After this, you cannot download these e-invoice details. Now let us see some points about IRN and signed invoice and signed QR code. So as you know, invoice reference number is a unique reference number generated by the IRP system. It is of 64 character length. So in the sample invoice that I'll be showing, I will also show how this looks like. Then on invoice registration, the portal returns these things. That is a invoice reference number, digitally signed invoice and digitally signed QR code. So these are the three main things which you need to download and keep. Then we have the acknowledgement number also, acknowledgement date or the IRN date that is shown. Also, it will return the e-way bill details. That is, if you have requested for e-way bills along with the IRN or the e-invoice, it will return the e-way bill details. The signed invoice is a standardized. That is, I told you that invoice details are now standardized and it has a common format. So now this is very easy, and also you can see it whether it is digitally signed, and it is digitally verifiable. That is, any invoice that you receive, you can even verify on the portal. You can upload your invoiced soft copy onto the portal and see whether it can be verified. And also it can be shared across the machines for reuse. That is, let's say you have generated the invoice. Now you have received the digitally signed invoice and QR code. You can share this with your recipients. So now the recipients can store this particular invoice into their machine. So this, you can see that it is interoperable, you can share. So all these are the benefits of the e-invoicing system. So now whatever QR code you receive, that needs to be printed on the invoice before you issue it to the other party. So as you receive whatever QR code, whatever text you receive in the QR code, that same needs to be printed as a on the invoice copy. So some points on the printing of e-invoice. So you can take the print of the e-invoice from the portal. It is available only for 2 days after generation of IRN, and it has a standard format for all the users. So whatever format we have shown in the portal, it's the same for all the users. The other way is you can download the signed invoice and the QR code and print it as per your own format. Let's say you already have an ERP system and you already may be printing the invoices. So you need not change that. You can just take this QR code and place it or print it on the same invoice that is being printed from your system. Next, we have the QR code. What you need to understand about the QR code. So this printing of QR code on the invoice is mandatory. You have to print this QR code on the invoice that is being issued to the recipient. Then it can be printed anywhere on the invoice. So there are many questions like where I have to print this, etc. So it can be printed anywhere on the invoices, except that it should be of a size where you can scan it, or you can through any QR code scanner. That size is another important question, like what arises by the taxpayers. So I say that here it can be of any size, but one should be able to scan it through any QR code scanner. Then we come to the acknowledgement number. So this also, there are questions whether we have to print or not print. So here it is optional. It may be used for reference. This is more convenient, like when you want to contact the tax recipient or anybody. So this acknowledgement number can be used for communicating, but it is optional. So this is how a sample invoice looks like. This is what is being printed from the e-invoice portal. You can see the QR code available here. So the details of your GSTN and the trade name is shown here. Then we have the IRN details. You can see this is a 64 character and the acknowledgement number is there. Then we have the acknowledgement date, the date and time when it was generated. Then the supply type. What type of supply was used for this e-invoice, whether it was a B2B or SEZ, or is it an export, etc. Then document number is nothing but the invoice number that you have sent to the invoice portal. The same number is shown here. Then the place of supply, document type, whether it is a tax invoice, credit note or debit note, and the document date. The party details, that is the supplier details, are shown here, complete address and the recipient details. And next comes the item details. So here you can see the item description is there, the HSN code is there, then the quantity, unit, and what was the unit price of this particular item, what is the discount given, what is the taxable amount, what's the total tax calculated, and what are the other charges, etc. That then is the total. So here with this information, you can even see e-sign. This indicates that this particular invoice is digitally signed, and it was digitally signed by NIC IRP. You can see this. All the details are available. Also, there is a barcode available. So this is how a e-invoice looks like when it is printed from the portal. So the next thing is registration. So most of the taxpayers now, they say, how should I register to this e-invoice portal? So if you have already registered in the e-way bill system, then you need to use the same credentials. There is no, you don't have to register again. In case you are not registered in e-Waybill system, then only you need to register in the e-Invoice portal. So here the system will, there is an option there to register. You can go to the registration option, enter your GSTIN, and the system will verify with the OTP sent to your registered mobile number, and then you can enter your username, password, and get registered on the e-Invoice portal. So this is all possible if you are enabled for e-invoicing. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to register in the portal. Then there is also the API registration. That is, as I said, there are some taxpayers who are already using some ERP, or they want to send these details through the APIs. That is, there are a set of APIs available in the e-Invoice portal, wherein you can make your systems communicate with the e-Invoice systems. That is, it is a system-to-system communication that is through some APIs. So as you know, already there are some taxpayers who are generating directly. That is, we have given them for the with turnover above 500 crores. They are able to integrate their systems directly with the e-Invoice system. Recently, we have enabled also the 100 crore taxpayers to communicate directly through these API of the e-Invoice. So the other taxpayers less than 100 crores, what they can do is they can come through the GSPs. There are some GSPs or the GST Suvidha providers who can help assist you in sending your details from your system to the e-Invoice system. So that is, you can come through GSPs or ERPs, and you can select, there is an option there in the system, you can select a particular GSP or ERP, and you have to communicate with them and get the client ID, client secret. These are the other set of credentials that are required by the taxpayers to integrate their systems with the e-Invoice system. So on doing this, you will get registered, and then you can start sending your invoices from your ERP system to the e-Invoice system directly. So this way you don't have to do double entry, as already sir has told, that any mistaken double entry will be avoided using this system. So as I told you that e-Invoice and e-Waybill have been seamlessly integrated. So what are the methods of generating e-Waybill? So either you can generate only the e-Invoice by providing only the supply details, only invoice will be generated or the IRN will be generated. In the e-Invoice, if you provide the supply details plus the transportation details, then that is a part B details. E-Invoice and e-Waybill will be generated together and sent to the taxpayer. Sometimes you will be generating the invoice and later you want to generate the e-Waybill. So that also is possible. First, you can submit all the supply details, generate the IRN, and with reference to this IRN, you can update the part B details or the transportation details anytime later and generate the e-Waybill. So as I said that the e-Invoice, once it is submitted to the portal, a set of validations, calculations are being done on this particular invoice, and it is verified whether all the details are, as per the validations given in the portal. So if it is successful, then the invoice will be generated, else it will throw back an error. All the validations are available on the invoice. If you want to know what are the validations available, if all the validations are available on the invoice, you can go to the sandbox system and understand those validations, what kind of checks and balances are being done on this particular system. There are also some bulk offline tools that I'll be explaining to know whether what are the validations. As many taxpayers, they have some round of issues in the calculations. So to accommodate this, some tolerance has been given. So you can go and see those points also in the validations in the portal. Then separate invoices for supplies not covered under GST. So what you understand is, like, there are some invoices being prepared for those supplies which are not covered under GSTs. So such things need not be submitted to the portal, and they need to be separately entered. That is, you should not mix up those supplies which are not covered under GST into the e-invoice system. So when you are submitting the details, you should only give the supplies or the items which are covered under the GST. Then only GST applicable supplies need to be registered on the portal. So this is how the invoice registration portal looks like. So this can be accessed through this URL, that is https einvoice1.gst.gov.in. So here you can see there are various menus. That is, you have the user manuals. You can go through this and understand more about the system. Then there are also a number of videos, FAQs, some documents, presentations, and tools. There are also tools available for generating the invoices. Then you also have downloads. Then we have the e-invoice status of taxpayer. So as I said, if you want to understand whether what is the status of e-invoicing for your GSTN, you can go and click under this search. You will find this option. Then you can verify the signed invoice. So any recipient who wants to verify can use this option. The list of all the masters are provided of all the HSNs or PIN codes, etc. You can go and visit this particular options. Then we come to the registration part, where we have two options, that is portal login and e-invoice enablement. So portal login is to register into this portal, and e-invoice enablement is, suppose if your GSTN which was actually eligible but has not been shown as eligible, then you can go and enable yourself in this particular option. As I said, there are some tools available for you to download and verify the invoice. Suppose if you have received any e-invoice and a print of it, and you want to verify whether it is a valid and it is a registered is in this particular invoice is registered on the portal, then there is one simple app in the portal. You can download this onto your mobile, and you can just scan the QR code, and you will get the details of this particular invoice. So you'll get all the details like who is the seller GSTN, buyer GSTN, all the details of that invoice. So you come to know that whether it is actually registered on the portal or not. And this can be downloaded by anyone, and it's available for both versions of Android and iOS. So this way you can verify, you can even upload this your digitally signed invoice onto this portal, to this app, and verify the same. So again, I come back to this integration, that is you can either upload your invoices directly onto the portal, or you can integrate your ERP system with the e-invoice system. And these are the three ways of integrating. Integrate through the GSPs. So as I said, there are a number of GSPs, around 40 something in number, through which you can integrate your system to the e-invoicing system. Or there are also the ERPs. You can contact them and try to integrate. Then integrate through taxpayers having direct integration. So now we have given a facility, that is those taxpayers who are suppliers, they have in turn have an ERP system for their recipients, etc. So in that case, though, such people can also integrate through this taxpayers who have already integrated through the directly to the e-invoice system. So now, as sir was telling about the various tools that are available for generating the invoice, the most simplest is the Japan. So this is basically for those taxpayers who do not have any ERP system, and they can who don't want to use any other tools other than the system, like they just want to enter some invoices quickly and generate the IRN. So this doesn't require any kind of integration with APIs or any other this thing. Just you have to go to this system, that is Japan. It's a online system. Go to that and use the same credentials as the portal, and just log in and enter your invoice details, and there you are ready to generate the e-invoice. Then we have the Japan mobile, that is the Japan, same thing can be downloaded onto the mobile, and this will be very handy tool for you, so that you can generate the invoices sitting anywhere. Next, bulk entry Excel based tools. So there are some tools, that is Excel based tools, which will help you in entering the invoices or generating these invoices in bulk. So we will go through these tools one by one. So Japan, as I said, it can be accessed on this URL, that is https://jep.einvoice1.gst.gov.in. So Japan stands for GST e-invoice preparing and printing tool. So this is a browser-based system. Why do we call this as a browser-based system? The data is stored in the browser cache. That is, when you enter all the invoice details into the system and submit it to the portal, then what happens is this information is sent to the invoice portal and IRN is generated. Along with it, a copy of that is also stored into your browser cache. So you have all the data available that you have generated in your own browser cache. That is, let's say you have opened up Google Chrome or Internet or Edge or Mozilla, etc. So all this information will be available in these browsers. Then it has the credentials are the same, that is that are being operated with e-Waybill and e-Invoice. Same credentials can be used. So you will not be generating any new credentials for the system. This can be downloaded on the mobile. So there's a feature there wherein you can download and use it on the mobile also. All the validations are incorporated into the system so that before you submit the details, the system will verify all the details, and if there is any mistake, it will highlight the error. It can be used in the offline mode also. So suppose, let's say you are not online and you just want to enter all the details and later on you want to submit. So this also is available. That is, you can just be in the offline mode and enter all the details and save it. So the moment you go to online mode, then you can send these details to the invoice portal. It has all the functionalities of e-invoice system like generation, cancellation of IRN, and the generation of e-Waybill, etc. So all the functionalities are incorporated into the system. So as I said, this is how the Japan looks like. So these all the features of the Japan are shown here. There is also a help utility. There is also a video. You can watch this and understand more about this portal. So here there's a login. You'll be using the same credentials as the e-invoice portal or the e-Waybill portal. And once you enter the credentials, it will ask you for an OTP. So now here, this is OTP based. So you will receive an OTP onto your mobile and you can enter this OTP and get verified. So on entering of the JEP system, the first thing that you have to do is edit the profile. That is, you have to update the profile. That is, what is the details of your GST will be automatically populated. Some more details, like if you want to have a logo of your business, etc., that can be updated here and this can be saved. So here you can see the moment you enter into this system, you can see a dashboard here which indicates the number of pending invoices, that is, which are not yet submitted to the portal, the number of generated invoices, that is, how many invoices have been generated, how many recipients are there, and how many products are there. So on the right side you can see there are option for downloading the mobile apps. Then also you can see here the recipients that you have recently added and the products that you have recently added. So on the left side, you can see all the options available to create the invoice or e-Waybill or cancel, etc. So this is how the system looks like. So for a faster data entry, we have given an option for entering the recipient details or the frequently used recipient details, so that you don't have to keep on entering each time you enter the invoice. So once you make a master of all these recipients, then the system will allow you to only select one from that list. So on selecting the recipient, the other details get populated and it will be, you can proceed to generate the e-invoice. So this is how a list of all the masters are there. That is, the recipients master is being generated. Now we come to the products. As I said, how you created a master of the recipients, you can also have a master of the products. The product details like the name, the HSN code, the units, the unit price, etc. are being entered over here. Then also the GST rate, etc. Everything can be entered and stored as a master. So when you are sending the same item again and again, you don't have to keep entering the details. Just you can select from the list and you can proceed to generate the invoice. This is how a product masters looks like. Now we'll go to generate the invoice. So you can see here, the first tab shows the document details. There is different options are available, whether it's a B2B transaction, SCZ, export or deemed export. So on selection of B2B, there's other options like whether IGST on intrastate is applicable or no, whether reverse charge is applicable or no, and what is the document type you are submitting, whether it's a tax invoice, debit note or a credit note. And accordingly, the details need to be entered like the document number, date. We have additionally given these two fields, that is the purchase order number, purchase order date. So here you can see we have selected from the list from the masters, and the details are auto-populated, and the place of supply. This is the state which you will be selecting. Based on this, the transaction will be considered as interstate or intrastate. Then you also have a transaction type. It is a regular bill to or a ship to transaction. This is basically required for the eBay bill. Then this is the adding of the products. You can just go on entering whatever products you want from the master, or you can enter it specifically one by one. So all the details are entered, the total number of items are shown, and what is the value shown is also shown of this. Here you can see the total of all the items, what is the taxable value and what was the tax, and if there is any other charges you can put into under this column. Then what is the discount and what is the round off. Suppose if you want to do any round off, you can put that and make a big, make a total round off to the invoice. Then if you want to enter the e-way bill details, that also is possible. If it doesn't have any details, then you can skip this tab. If there are e-way bill details, you can enter the transporter ID or transporter name, transport mode, what is the distance, document number, and the transporter document date, and the vehicle number and the vehicle type. So here again in vehicle type you have regular or ODC. So accordingly you can enter all these details and go to the next tab, that's a preview. Preview is just to ensure that you can first confirm that whether what details you have entered is shown is the same, and once these details are confirmed, then you can generate the e-invoice. So once it is generated, the system will show like this, that it is generated successfully, the acknowledgement number is shown and the e-way bill number is shown. So now we come to the printing. You can see from the system, from the JEP system itself, you can take a print of the invoice. Even the logo is shown in the invoice that is being printed. Now we come to the one other example of the exports. So in the exports, we have also taken the details like purchase order number and purchase order date. And also there is one more details that is being captured, that is the shipping number. So this is required for the exports. So this shipping number, shipping date, etc. Can be taken from this particular Japan system. So with all these details, you will be generating the e-invoice for the exports. So as I said, there is also an option to, suppose if your ship to details are different from the recipient's address, then you can also enter those details into the ship to details, and so that this in the part B it gets updated. The other option is the cancel IRN. So the cancel IRN will allow you to cancel the e-invoice that you have recently generated, provided it is within 24 hours of time of generation. So all these are available here. You just click on this and you can proceed for generating the cancelling the IRN. So while cancelling the IRN, you need to enter the reason for cancelling it, whether it's a data entry mistake or any other reason. You can enter and cancel the invoice. Now we come to the pending invoices. That is, as I said, you can even generate the, if there are any invoices, that are entered and kept in the, like under the pending invoices, you can regenerate or you can submit these invoices to the portal. The last thing is the backup and restore. So this is a very important thing. As I said that this is a browser-based system. So when you open this Json and onto any particular browser, it could be Google Chrome or it could be Mozilla, etc. So what happens is you'll be generating the invoices and a copy of that will be stored onto the Google Chrome. So when you open the same thing in some other system, so that time you will not be able to see those invoices that you have generated on the other system. So in that case, what you can do is you can take a backup. This is the option here, backup the data and restore it onto the other system. So suppose now if let's say you have operated this on computer 1 and now you shifted to computer 2. So in that case, you can take a backup of this particular data and restore it on backup to on computer 2 system. So this way all the information that you had in the computer 1 system will be ported or restored onto the second computer and you can continue your work. So it's always a good practice that you keep taking a backup every day of this particular data so that you don't lose on the data that you have stored locally. So this is about the backup and restore. So to sum up the steps for generating e-invoice on Json, so these are the quick a view of what we spoke all this time. That is, firstly, you have to go to jep.einvoice1.gst.gov.in, enter your username and password, enter the OTP received, set the profile, create a recipient master, create product master, and generate the invoice. So this is about the Json system. Now the next one is the bulk invoice generation tools. I have told that there are two ways, that is, one is through the JEP and the other one is through the e-invoice generation tools. So these are nothing but simple tools, that is Excel based tools, which will help you in generating the invoices in bulk. Now let us look into these tools. As I said, these are simple Excel tools. They can be downloaded from the portal. There are multiple formats of tools available. We have given based on the usage of the invoices and based on the number of items. There are some different types of tools available, so that this will be helpful for the taxpayers. In having a very simple tool or choosing any of the tool from the 4 formats that are given. Then also there is some kind of customization that can be done. So when you open this particular tool, you should see only what is required by your business. So that way some customization can be done. Then we also have invoices can be entered in bulk. All the invoices that you want to generate, you can just enter into this tool. Now sometimes what happens is there is an ERP system and you have all the invoices generated from your ERP system. So what you can do is you can cut and paste from that particular ERP system, that is a Excel which you have generated from the ERP system. Take all those records and just paste into this tool and you will be able to generate the e-invoices. It has also some certain built-in validations available, though all cannot be provided in this because these are all offline tools. Some validations are built and the system will do some validations and the further things will be again validated on the invoice portal when it is uploaded. So after entering all the invoice details, a data file will be generated and you can upload it into the portal. So now where these tools are available. So in e-invoice portal, you can come under the help menu and under the tools, you can see this bulk generation tools. So on clicking of this, you can see the tools details are shown here. That is e-invoice, that is all the attributes or the JSON schema, everything is explained here. This will help you to understand what column stands for what type of data, etc. Then we also have here the tools with the latest version. So as and when if there is any change in the tool, then the version is updated here and you can download the latest one. So as I said, there are different formats available. So the first format is for B2B SEZ exports and deemed exports, and all are there in one sheet. That is, since it is an Excel based, so you will be having one Excel sheet, one sheet wherein you can enter all these details. So this is especially useful for those taxpayers who are having only one items in their invoice. So most of the times that the businesses may not have more than one item. So in that case, this is a very simple tool which can be downloaded and all the details can be entered and e-invoice can be generated. Suppose if you have multiple items in your invoice, like 3 or 4 items in the invoice, then the first tool will not be very helpful. You can go for the second tool. So wherein there will be 2 sheets, one for the document details and the second sheet will be for only exclusively for the item details. So this way you can generate, you can enter the data separately and generate the e-invoice. Then also this format C, wherein all the details like exports and reference details, etc., can be entered in multiple sheets. And the fourth format is like a very comprehensive, like all the details can be entered in one line. So the most frequently or most used tool are the first, that is format A and format B. So you can choose one of them and start using in your system. And also there are a number of videos available. You can go through these videos to understand more about these tools. So this was what I was telling about the bulk generation tool. You can see here, it shows all the details of this particular sheet. Down you can see there are different sheet names, that is the profile, invoice, etc. There is also help on this available. What are the calculations, FAQs, many of the things are being incorporated into this tool. So here, in this tool, the first step what you have to do is update your profile. That is here, the GST needs to be entered because this is an offline tool. The GSTN details, that is as a supplier, what is the GSTN and legal name, trade name, etc. All these needs to be entered because the details from this particular sheet will be used to generate the file. So if you have made mistake in this particular sheet, then other details also will go wrong. So it is very important that your profile is updated correctly. Then this is what the customization that I was telling about. That is, since a sheet is very comprehensive, you can exclude some of the columns that do not belong to or do not come under your business. So sometimes the businesses do not have any kind of reverse charge. So in that case, you can hide this column by saying that no. Here you can say, do you have reverse charges? You can select no. So this column will not be shown in the Excel sheet. Then do you have e-commerce GSTN? So this also, if it is not applicable, you can set it as no. Then whether you have bill from, dispatch from, etc. So as you go into the sheet, you will understand which columns you want to make it visible or which you want to hide. Accordingly, you can do all those hiding, and then you can keep your sheet as a minimum and simple as possible. So also if there are no exports, if the business is not into any exports, then the export details also can be made invisible from the sheet. So here you can see this is a sheet where the data will be entered. You can see here the type of supply, whether it is a B2B, SEZ, etc. Reverse charge. So here, see, instead of entering for every transaction no, if you can hide this particular column. So like this, all the details can be entered, like the buyer details and dispatch details, etc. This is the other sheet, that is the item details. Suppose if you have downloaded format B, then you will get one extra sheet here, that is items. So in this you can see that for the same tax invoice, you can see here the document number ADQ7. There are 2 items. So like this you can enter multiple items into this sheet, and so that it becomes very simple for you to when you are entering the details. So all the details we will be entering, and some of the things are calculated by the tax sheet and shown here. So this also it has the e-way bill details. You can update the e-way bills details, and also there is a column for the errors. Suppose now you have entered all the data and you want to know if there are any errors in your sheet, then you can say click on validate. The system will throw up all the errors which are available, which have been shown on this particular line. So this particular line is having some error, so it is showing off here. So this way you can go to this the specific line or the corresponding line and make the corrections and come back to validate. So here there are two buttons here, that is validate and prepare JSON. So now you can click on validate if data is and see whether the data is getting validated successfully. As I said, if there was any errors, then the errors will be shown. You need to correct and come back to this. So on validating, then you have to go to this prepare JSON. So this is a file that gets generated in your system and which needs to be uploaded in the portal. So you can see here now on when I have clicked on prepare JSON, the file is generated in this particular directory. Here you can see C:users. This is the directory where this particular is being stored. File is being stored. So now what you have to do is take this file and upload it into the invoice portal. So there are again in this tool all the validations and calculations of what is being done, etc. Everything details is shown for your understanding. So this is the portal. Now you come to this portal, you log in with your credentials, and this is the how the portal looks like after you have logged in. So here there is under the e-invoice, there is a bulk upload option. You can click on this bulk upload and the file that you have generated that needs to be selected. So on clicking of this bulk upload, it will say choose a file. You go to the same directory, choose that file and click on upload. So now what happens is all the invoices that are being there in that particular file, for that the system will validate with all the validations, and if there is any mistake or any errors in that, then the invoice will not be registered for that particular invoice. Whereas for the other details where it has passed through the validations, the invoice will be generated or the e-invoice will be generated. So you can see here the total number of invoices in the file are 7. Total items are shown. How many invoices are successful? That is 7 are successful. Failed to upload. If there was any invoice which has failed the validations, that also will be shown here. So in that case, you need to download that error file and again, or you correct that particular file and upload it into the system. So here you can see the details that have been uploaded. All the details are there like the IRN, acknowledgement number, etc. Then you can also download the signed JSONs. So now I said that you can share this particular information to your recipients. So how you can do that is you can download the signed JSON. This particular will give you the list of all the invoices that are digitally signed, and also you can download it in an Excel file and you can share it with your recipients. We also have one more feature, that is download print PDF. That is sometimes what happens is you have generated around 10 to 15 invoices and now you want to print all of them. So now what happens is you have to enter one by one. So instead of that, for all those 10 to 15 invoices that you have uploaded, one PDF file is generated and you can download this and give a print. So a bulk print of the invoice also is facilitated in this portal. So the other way of generating is you can go to the print invoices. Here you can enter the date for which you want to print the invoices. So on entering of the date, all the invoices that have been generated are shown here. You can again download or you can print directly from this portal. So this way you can download this invoices, and please note that it is available only for the previous 2 days. After that it will not be available. So whenever you generate the invoice, it is very important that you download all this invoices onto your system. So now next session is on FAQs. So my colleague, Mr. Suresh Mehti, he will take up now the FAQs and answer to most of your questions. So please listen to this session patiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita Madam. So it was a very detailed presentation on the basics of e-invoicing and the tools that are made available as of now for registering the invoices, etc. Now we are going through a set of frequently asked questions. So since we have started e-invoicing in October 2020, like people have been asking the same questions again and again. So we have compiled all such questions, the frequently asked questions, and we are trying to address those questions here. And many of these points are already covered by Sunita Madam. So it may be a repetition for some of the people who have been there since beginning. But those who have joined a little late, maybe it will benefit them in understanding the novices of e-invoicing. So let me just start here. So first of all, what is e-invoicing? So as Madam had told, like it is not generation of the invoices online. The businesses will generate the invoices as they have been doing all these days. Only thing is after generating the invoice, they will be registering the invoice on the IRP, that's the Invoice Registration Portal. So after registering the invoices on the IRP, they will be getting the unique number, which is called as Invoice Registration Number or IRN. Along with this, you will also get back a signed invoice. So whatever invoice details you had uploaded, the same content will be digitally signed and given back to you. So it is an authenticated data now. And also you will be getting back digitally signed QR code. It is mandatory to print this QR code on the invoice. So who are supposed to generate the IRN? Those taxpayers who have crossed the turnover limit as notified by the government. As we have already seen, e-invoice is being implemented in phased manner. Initially started with 500 crore and now we are at the doorstep of 10 crore turnover taxpayers. So as and when the government notifies, as per the notification, those taxpayers who have crossed the turnover will be eligible for generation of the IRN. And only B2B, B2G and export invoices have to be registered. Apart from the invoices, credit notes and debit notes also have to be registered and the IRN has to be obtained. How do I know whether I am supposed to register the invoices and get the IRN? So you can visit the portal https://einvoice1.gst.go.in. In the menu, there is an option, search, and under that, e-invoice status of taxpayer. So if you make use of this option, where you can enter the GSTIN and it will show whether this particular GSTIN is eligible for registering the invoices, and if yes, from which particular date based on the turnover. So this is the screenshot of the screen, the option where you can check the status of e-invoice, whether that particular GSTIN is enabled for e-invoicing or not. So my turnover is more than 20 crores. Sorry, this has to be 10 crores. My turnover is more than 10 crores, but the status shows I am not eligible. So what to do? So if your business has crossed 10 crores turnover in any of the financial years since GST has come into force, then there is an option on the same portal, that is https://einvoice1.gst.go.in. There is a menu option, registration, under that e-invoice enablement. You can go to this particular place and register yourself or enable yourself for registering the invoices. So this is the screen where you will be entering your GSTIN, and then the details will be, your details will be shown. Then after providing the OTP, you will be shown the GSTINs under the same PAN. And subsequently, you have to select the year in which you have crossed the turnover, the threshold turnover, and you have to mention the turnover in crores. So once you have entered this, then you will be made eligible for registering the invoices. So which turnover is considered for eligibility of taxpayer for the for calculation of the eligibility? So if the turnover has crossed the minimum threshold as specified by the government through notification in any of the financial years since the GST has come into force. So except for the current year, all the previous year, in any one of the year it has crossed, then you are eligible for registering the invoices. So as of now, taxpayers with turnover more than 10 crore in any of the financial year from 17-18 till last financial year are eligible from 1st October 2022. All the turnovers for the PAN are considered here, and even GST and non-GST turnovers are considered for calculation of the eligibility. My turnover is less than the threshold announced by government or my business type is exempted from E-Invoice, but the portal shows my business is enabled for E-Invoice. What can I do? So you have been enabled based on the data that is received from the GSTN. So you find that you are exempted from registering the invoices, or your turnover is not meeting the required criteria, then you can approach the GST common portal and raise your grievance on the common portal. So is invoicing voluntary? That is, if my turnover is less than the prescribed turnover by government, still can I register my invoices? No, this is not voluntary. Only those who are eligible as per the notification are supposed to register their invoices. What about the petrol pump having turnover more than 10 crore, which includes some only some GST supplies? Our related question is whether taxpayer need to generate e-invoice if he has 90% non-GST supplies with B2B and B2C invoices and 10% GST liable supplies with B2C invoices. So these are related questions. So again, the total turnover is considered for seeing whether the business is eligible for registration of invoices or not. But ultimately for registration, only the GST supplies, that to B2B, B2G and export invoices have to be registered on the portal. B2C invoices are not accepted on the portal for registration. Who all and which type of transactions need not generate IRS? So this is a list of the type of businesses or the entities who are exempted for registration of the invoices. So they include banking or insurance company or financial institutes, goods transport agencies, passenger transport agencies, multiplex cinema, government department or local authorities, SEZ units, but SEZ development units are supposed to generate, SEZ units are exempted, IST units, composition taxpayers, and B2C transactions are exempted from registration of the invoices. If supply value is less than 50,000, since it doesn't require e-bill, should we still register such invoice for e-invoicing? The 50,000 or whatever the state specific limit is there for the e-bill, that is not applicable for the e-invoice. Each and every invoice that has been generated for B2B, B2G or export transactions by the eligible taxpayers have to be registered on the portal. So there is no lower limit for the value of the invoices that need to be registered. Every invoice has to be registered on the portal with respect to B2B, B2G and export. So if the recipient rejects the service or goods, whether the IRN to be generated. So if it is within 24 hours, IRN can be cancelled. In case of rejection of service or goods, as in practice before, like whatever you used to do earlier, in case there is a rejection, then the amount should be adjusted using the credit note or the debit note. As it was mentioned, the content of the invoice once registered cannot be modified. Even if it is cancelled, a new original invoice has to be generated and that new number has to be registered on the portal. So in that case, if there is any rejection of service or goods, etc., then you have to generate a credit note, debit note, and that credit note or debit note has to be registered on the invoice registration portal and the IRN has to be obtained. And in case it is a rejection of goods, the goods have to be returned using the delivery channel. What are the type of documents that can be registered to get an IRN? As mentioned, only tax invoices, credit notes, and debit notes are the document types which can be registered on the portal. Can I integrate my system? Through APIs. Those who are interested, those who have the proper software and system running in the respective businesses, they can integrate their system through E-Invoice system through the APIs. Here we have given a threshold of 100 crore. So those businesses who are having turnover more than 100 crore are given direct integration for API, and other people can make use of the services of GSPs or the ERPs, or those taxpayers who have crossed their turnover more than 100 crore and they have got the direct integration with NIC. So you can approach those taxpayers, and through them also you can connect to the E-Invoice system through API. So what are the modes of invoice registration for taxpayers with turnover less than 100 crore? As it is already explained by Sunita Madam, we have provided different tools which may suit different type of businesses. Those businesses which have a very less number of invoices to register on daily basis, they can make use of the Japan tool or the Japan mobile tool. Those who are generating moderately little higher number of invoices, they can make use of the offline bulk tool, and those who are generating very large number of invoices, they can go for the API approach. So for all different size of businesses, we have different facilities available. Whatever suits the same can be used by the respective taxpayers. So is there a facility to enter one invoice details at a time to register invoice? So now, since we are talking about the smaller businesses now, that is taxpayers with turnover between 10 to 20 crores. So in case you have very less number of invoices to be generated, then you don't have to go for higher technological complexity like API integration, etc. You can make use of the Japan tool or the mobile tool, using which you can enter one invoice details at a time and register it on the portal. Can we use the same credentials to access E-Invoice and E-Waybill in production environment? Yes. Since both E-Invoice and E-Waybill systems are developed and run and managed by NIC, both the systems are closely integrated. So if you have already registered for E-Waybill, the same credentials can be used for E-Invoicing as well. I have registered at GST portal. Do I have to register separately for E-Waybill and E-Invoice? Since GST portal is a separate system, E-Invoice and E-Waybill are separate system. So though you have registered on the GST common portal, you will have to register either for E-Waybill or E-Invoice. And once you have registered for one of these two, then you will be able to use the same credential for either E-Waybill or E-Invoice. But definitely you need separate set of credentials for accessing the E-Waybill and E-Invoice. And again, if you want to integrate your system with the API, you need to have a separate credentials for the API, which is facilitated by the respective portal itself. Can I amend the details of reported invoice for which IRN has already been generated? There is no provision for modifying the content of the invoice after it is registered. So only option is to cancel the IRN if it is noticed within the 24 hours. And if you are not able to cancel it within 24 hours, then since the invoice details are getting auto-populated in the GST R1 filing facility, which is provided by GST Common Portal, there you can go and modify the changes. But whatever changes you make, they may have to be explained to the concerned authority when they come for inspection or audit. Can we have multiple user creation and administration option for multiple staff? So those who have been already using the E-Waybill portal, there is a facility for creating the sub-users. So similar facilities available for the E-Invoice system as well. So a main user of a particular business can create sub-users. Sub-users' mobile number will be mapped for these accounts, so that they can independently log in into the system and work on the Japan or the bulk generation tool. In case of export, we prepare invoice in dollars, and how to prepare invoice whether in dollars or rupee. So all your filings, whether it is R1 or R3B, all these things are prepared in the Indian currency, right? So you can't have invoices in the foreign currency because these registered invoices are going and sitting as your GST R1. You are dynamically actually preparing your GST R1. So all the currencies here to be in Indian rupees only. However, there are facilities, there are parameters available in the schema, the standard schema which Sunita madam was mentioning earlier. There are certain parameters where you can mention the amount in foreign currency, and also you can define which foreign currency you are referring to. So even in the bulk rule, format C and D have this provision of entering the foreign currency and the name of the foreign currency. What about export invoices? GSTN will not be available. When you are generating export invoices, in the recipient GSTN, you will be entering it as URP, unregistered person. And the state will be other country. And if you are using code like in API or something, then either you can use 96 or 99 indicating the other country. And pin code, again, it's a mandatory field where you will be entering 6 nines. So this is how you will be generating the export invoices where the GSTN will not be there for the recipient. When invoice details need to be uploaded for export invoice, if port details are to be changed, how to amend or correct. So again, there is no provision for changing any data in the invoice. But if you have not provided the details for dispatch from or ship to details while generating the IRN, subsequently while generating the e-way bill, you can provide these details and generate the e-way bill referring to the IRN which is already generated. How to show packaging charges which is not quantified but taxable in nature. Not only packaging charges, there could be many other such charges like insurance or any other charges which are not already covered in the schema. You may have to adjust those figures in the other fields such as the other charges, or if there is something to be deducted, then you can use the discount field. So this way you may have to adjust for those values which are not finding place in the invoice schema. There are two related questions here. For continuous supply, where the quantity of supply is not fixed and is based on site measurement and approval, can the material be dispatched on delivery challan basis? And invoice and e-invoice can be generated on the quantity measurement after actual measurement. The related question is liquid item where the actual quantity cannot be measured until it is delivered. So for these kind of situations, the same practice, whatever you have been already using before the invoice came into effect, the same practice can be used here. So only additional step would be registering the invoice or the credit note or the debit note. So you would have raised the invoice for certain measurement or certain quantity, and if it is reduced or increased, then that has to be adjusted using the credit notes or the debit notes. For line sales, how to issue e-invoice on the road. So since line sales happens like on the round trip, so how to register the invoice is the question. The goods can be moved with delivery challan. A manual invoice may be issued on the spot to the buyer. Subsequently, the invoice to be registered, and then IRN and QR code have to be generated, and a proper receipt can be given to the recipient. If I have committed mistake in invoice and generated IRN for it, can I cancel the IRN and regenerate the IRN again for the same invoice? As we have been repeatedly telling, there can't be any regeneration of the IRN for the same document number. The original document itself has to be cancelled, and a new document with a new number has to be generated, and that has to be registered. What are the time limits for cancelling the invoice, and how long the invoices are available at IRP for download? So as mentioned, the invoices for whatever reason can be cancelled only within 24 hours of generation of the IRN. Beyond that, you will not be able to cancel the IRN. And once you have successfully generated the IRN, the data will be available on the IRP only for the next 2 days. So you have to invariably download the data within the 2 days. Beyond that, you will not be able to download the IRN details from the IRP. Can the taxpayer generate IRN after e-way bill generation? Ideally, first invoice will be generated, that will be registered. Along with that if possible, e-waybill can be generated, or subsequently e-waybill has to be generated based on the IRN. The reverse way is not generated in practice. So another point, in case IRN has to be cancelled, if there is associated e-waybill, first e-waybill has to be cancelled and subsequently IRN has to be cancelled. If the e-waybill has to be generated for the invoice, but the transportation details are not available at the time of invoice generation, then how to generate the e-waybill? So as mentioned earlier by Madam, there are three ways in which you can generate the IRN. One is you generate only the IRN if there is no movement of goods. Second option is there is a movement of goods, but you don't have the transportation details with you. Then you can still generate the IRN. Subsequently, using the IRN as a reference, you can add the transportation details and generate the e-waybill, because the invoice itself makes part of the part A of the e-waybill. So only part B has to be added. So we have given a provision where you can generate the e-waybill based on the IRN number. So that is the second option. Third option is if you have all the details with you, the invoice details as well as transportation detail, then all the details together you can provide and get both IRN as well as e-waybill generated in a single code. When an IRN is cancelled, whether the associated e-waybill also gets automatically cancelled? No. The first e-waybill has to be cancelled and then subsequently the e-invoice has to be cancelled. Do I need to print QR code on the invoice? If so, what shall be its size and location on the invoice copy? While returning IRN, the IRP is also giving an IRN number, acknowledgement number, and date. Whether these also need to be printed on the invoice. The printing of QR code on the invoice, and that on the same sheet, not as a separate sheet, is mandatory. But positioning, size, etc. is not specified. So it should be scannable by any normal QR code scanner. So that should be the clarity and size of the QR code. Positioning can be anywhere on your invoice as per your invoice format. So there is no specific specifications given as to what should be the size, where it should be placed and all that. But it should be scannable by a normal QR code scanner. Positioning, it can be positioned anywhere in the sheet. So printing of IRN or acknowledgement number or date given by the IRP are not mandatory, but printing of the QR code is mandatory, which in turn will contain all these details in it. Can e-commerce entities generate invoices on behalf of the sellers on their platforms? Yes. E-commerce operators, those who have taken the registration as TCS, they are eligible for registering the invoices on the IRP on behalf of the sellers. Who has to generate reverse charge mechanism invoices? E-invoice is mainly for the suppliers. So recipients will not be able to generate any IRNs. So even in case of RCMs, the suppliers only have to register their invoices on the portal. So what is the time limit for generation of IRN? As of now, you can register those documents which are generated after 1st April 2021. So any document that has date after 1st April 2021 can be registered even today. But subsequently, government may take a decision and it may reduce the time limit, maybe at a week or a month. It depends on the notification which will be issued government as applicable. So only within that you may have to register in future. So as of now, any document after 1st April 2021 can be registered even today. Do I need to print e-invoice as provided in the portal, or can I have my own format? Whatever facility we have given on the portal, it is only a standard format that we are giving. So businesses would like to have their own invoice format. They would like to print their own logo, whatever way they want to print it. So that is always encouraged. So we are only giving it as a facility where you can take a printout from the portal. Ideally, whatever mode you use, you will be getting back the signed invoice in the digital format. So using that, you have to integrate your system so that you can print the invoices in your own required format, incorporating the QR code that is received after registration of the invoice. So in the current schema, there is no provision to report details of supplies not covered under GST. Example, hotel wants to give single invoice for B2B supply, where the supply includes food and beverages, where food is covered under GST and the beverage is not covered under GST. So in such cases, separate invoices have to be issued, one for the GST supplies and goods and other for the non-GST, and only the GST related invoice has to be registered on the portal. TDS of income tax is not part of the invoice schema, so is it not required to be displayed in the invoice? If so, how to pass these details? As of now, such parameters are not available in the schema, which is defined by the government. So as of now, you may have to make use of the other fields like other charges where you can mention the TDS of income tax. What is the maximum number of line items which can be reported in an invoice? So in the normal way, up to 1,000 items per invoice can be added before registration. But there is a facility which is given on demand for those businesses who are having more than 1,000 line items per invoice. So anybody who is having such requirement, they can write a mail to support.einv.api@gov.in with some sample invoices where it is indicated you have generated invoices with more than 1,000 items. We'll let you know how to handle these kind of cases. So in case of credit note and debit note, is there any validation with respect to the referred invoice number? No. We are not referring to the original invoice for the registration of the credit note or debit note. How are the interstate or intrastate transactions identified? In the schema, there is one field called as place of supply. So the state code mentioned in the place of supply and the state code of the supplier are compared. If both are same, it is treated as the intrastate. If they are different, it is treated as the interstate. So these are some of the questions that we had come across at various point of time, and that is what we have tried to address here. Now, if time is there, we can take up some of the questions that have been put on the chat box. So just continuing in another 2 minutes. Meantime, whatever communication I have received for this particular webinar, the same communication has a link for the YouTube also. So this video will be available under the same link. So those who have joined late or not able to hear properly in between, or whatever be the issue, or you would like to see the video again, you can go to the YouTube link. We will again paste the YouTube link in the chat box, so you can make use of that link and you can refer to today's webinar on the YouTube also. So we have just picked up some of the questions from the chat box. Probably some of these questions have been answered multiple times during today's webinar itself, either during the explanation of the basics of the invoice or during the Faqs, etc. So if they're very much repetitive, maybe we'll skip some of those questions. So here first one is, dear sir, please explain below 10 crore year business how to prepare e-invoice. So those who are having turnover less than 10 crore are not supposed to register the invoices. So it is not a voluntary thing. So only if you are eligible as per the government notification, that too on the PAN. So if you are saying your turnover is below 10 crore, considering a single GSTN, but for the whole PAN, if it is more than 10 crore, definitely you are eligible for registration. So you have to cross check again whether you are talking about a single GSTN for the PAN or all the GSTNs together for the same PAN. So if it is less than 10 crore for the whole PAN itself, then you are not eligible and you are not allowed to register the invoices. This is invoice. This e-invoicing is not necessary for firms with turnover less than 10 crore. Again, same question, already clarified. You are not supposed to. There is a tool for e-invoice generation. You can go to e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. There you can download the tool for generation of the e-invoice JSON. How can I generate export USD e-invoice? So it is already mentioned, you can't generate the invoices in foreign currency because the registered invoice details are going to your GSTR1, where you have been already filing the figures in Indian rupees. So there are two separate fields where you can mention the foreign currency name and the foreign currency amount. So you can make use of those two fields to mention the USD values. Can we also generate e-invoice from different country if we are traveling as we are export-import firm? I'm not getting where the traveling is coming into picture, but if you are giving the service across the country, yes, sir.
Yeah. No, basically you will not be allowed to generate the invoice from outside the country as of now. It has to be done from within the country. So even though if you are outside, so your team or your firm or somebody will be there who should be asked to generate the invoice from the country. Next question. So because a lot of questions have come and we'll not be able to go through because already we have come to the flag end of our presentation. I am happy that a lot of people have raised a large number of questions. We have covered most of them through our explanation and FAQ also. But some of them we are trying to take here and try to take it. Next slide. So we'll try to see. We'll try to cover a couple of more questions. Then generally what I'd like to say is one thing. Please go to e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. Please note down e-invoice1.gst.gov.in is a portal where you go there and you will get all these materials. All these materials are available. You can go through the FAQs, you can go to the presentation, you can go to the videos. So you will understand everything about the e-invoice, how you can use. Even you can download the tools like a Japan tool, Excel tool, everything is available. Just go there and download those tools and start using it, start understanding it. Even formats are there. Some people have asked about the schema format and where they have to do. So those things are available. Please go there and see that and work on this. And also now, as we have told, 10 crore above we have enabled from August 15th on the production also. The people optionally it is available. You can start doing. In October, we'll be enabling 5 crore above also on the optional basis. The taxpayer can go there and start generating whoever is comfortable to do that. Second point here is some question I am summarizing here. I will not go into the each one of the question. Will not be able to cover. Some people are saying they are not having a ERP system. Fine. If you are not having ERP system, no problem. You need to have. If you are having, fine. Otherwise, you can download the Japan tool and use it and generate the e-invoice and carry on your business. That is available. And also, if the whatever the print it gives, along with this print, your actual invoice print, staple it and send it across, because the print what you are generating from the portal will have a QR code. That is one of the mandatory. That QR code and your old both can be numbers can be matched and stapled and can be given to the purchaser. So this is one important area we have to consider and do that thing. Then other than that, so all the materials are available, and if you are not having ERP, if you are using ERP, ask the ERP party whether they are having a solution with the e-invoicing system to link and generate the e-way bills or e-invoices. They will give the solution. You can already they are having lot of ERP softwares have already linked with the e-invoicing system. They have prepared the solution. You have to interact and understand and take it further from them. That is available. That is the other part also you can explore and do it. Then finally, this is available even for export of services. E-Invoice is a mandatory. So this you have to take and do it. Meantime, before we go into the other question, here.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. And thanks to NIC team for a beautiful presentation on the E-Invoice schema and the theory part and also the technical aspect of it. And we should really thank NIC headed by Mr. P.V. Bhatt for making this to happen. And I think this is the series of E-Invoice seminars we are the NIC here and also the other departments we are conducting. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the journey started somewhere from September 2020, wherein we started having more than 1,000 taxpayers participate in e-invoicing, and the journey has not never stopped. Even today also, if you look at it, the beginning there were more than 1,000 people on the online, and more than 1,300 people are live. They're watching on YouTube. So that clearly shows how much of interest the taxpayers and the stakeholders are into the invoicing system. And it is never heard in the history of in India or elsewhere so robust and so fast it could have been implemented, and it could able to showcase that NIC could able to do this. This is a flagship project for this particular thing, and they really did it in the way it has to be done, and it's going on the way. And I think there are a lot of questions are there. My simple suggestion to NIC team for the next time when we organize, I think we can go with the Q&A session itself for the 2 hours rather than in the presentation mode, because there are many Q&A questions sessions, many questions will get answered. In that way, there are different formats we can think of. That's what it struck me. We can organize in a Q&A format, and we can go on explaining the every concept of e-invoicing. And just to share it, see, if you look at it from 1/10/2022, they want to enable only 10 crore and above. Means all the aspects of the rules and regulations remain the same. That's what I meant to say, because I saw 1 or 2 questions to say, then previous 17 crore, I have in 2017, I had 12 crores. Whether I have to generate, now I have only, now actually you have to generate. The reason is that the law make it very clear, preceding any financial years. Preceding any financial years, if your turnover is more than 10 crores, then you have to generate e-invoice. Means to say, even if it comes down to the 8 crores, I think if you are enabled on the e-invoice portal, you have to generate. That you have to keep it in mind. Always, I'm trying to tell you that whatever the threshold we are trying to tell you 10 crores, it is preceding financial years. And that too, the 10 crores, once again, it is a pan-India data. It is not pertain to a particular state. If you have a turnover in Karnataka, if you have a turnover in Tamil Nadu, if you have a turnover in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, if cumulatively if it is more than 10 crores, then also you are eligible even if you have a 2 crore turnover in Karnataka. That you should remember. See, that we'll always forget. We think that, okay, the 10 crore is not being crossed in Karnataka or in Telangana, we don't want to generate. It is not the case. It is 10 crore for the pan-India data. That one should remember. That's what I wanted to say. Otherwise, there's nothing much to clarify, because most of the taxpayers and stakeholders who are the earlier taxpayers, they are already joined and they're clear. Let's have another webinar of this kind of a nature wherein we can go with the Q&A. And another thing is only B2B, is only business to business transaction. See, e-invoicing is only for business to business, and consent to those invoices and credit and debit notes, and also export invoices also you can have a e-invoicing. This is what I want to see. And as I said already, more than 200 crores, 296 crores of invoices have been generated in the last couple of years. That clearly shows, and the trend of e-invoice generation also clearly shows how the economy is doing, and also the trend of e-waybill generation also. As I saw, 296 crores of e-invoice e-waybill have been generated as an study. So clearly shows that NIC has done a remarkable work in e-invoicing and e-waybill. And I'm proud to say that they are the projects what we rolled out in the state of Karnataka VAT regime, and we could able to do this. And to make this particular happen, e-invoicing or e-waybill to go to last leg, we should really thank our KCCA led by Mr. Manohar, the Taxation Chairman Committee member, and all other associations across the Karnataka. Let be FKCCA, let be CASIA, let be PINIA, let be Whitefield Association or Grain Merchant Association, any for that particular matter. All the associations, even Canara Chamber or Karnataka Chamber or Kalburgi Chamber, any chamber across the state of Karnataka, they have really helped us to take this particular ticket further forward. In addition to that, even in Tamil Nadu, the tax practitioner associations, and even in Kerala, the tax practitioner associations, and chartered accountant associations, and the cost accountants, and the company secretaries, each and everybody has given their hand into this particular propagation of this particular project. I should thank every association, every organization, every stakeholder, every taxpayer to come on to this. And I'm very thankful for NIC team to give an opportunity to give my few words on this e-invoicing. And really, I should thank the NIC team itself to make this happen. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murali Krishna. Friends, one of the some questions we are not able to answer because of the shortage of time. But however, we are updating the FAQ, whatever you are provided on the portal. All these questions, whichever other questions are there, definitely we'll update on the portal. You can go through that and understand. As already suggested by Dr. Murali Krishna, we'll be having one FAQ session only for the e-invoicing in the coming days, so that people quickly will go through the basically about the basics, but I will go through the more on the FAQ what the people are having. We'll clarify that. And also some people have asked, I am not able to see this presentation from beginning. Can I see? Yes, it is available in the YouTube. You can search for the e-invoicing. All these presentations or the complete video is available. Those who are not seen, they can go there and see and understand and learn also, and enrich their knowledge and start using it. So some of the questions like people are asking whether for government portal, are you charging for e-invoicing? No, it is completely free. Anybody can go there and generate e-invoice. It is freely provided by the GST Council. So that is some of the things. So, well, friends, we are come to the final thing. I'll thank all of you, all the taxpayers, all the professionals who are supporting, all the associations who are amply joined this session and made it a great success. I'll also thank Dr. Murali Krishna and Manohar and my team also, who have taken a pain to prepare and present all these things. Once again, thank you all.